What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
Welcome back to Top Bins, the show, bringing you all the action from the Premier League and SerieA, England and Italy. I am your host, Matt, joined by my co-host, Dom. Dom, how are you?
I'm great, man. I'm good. Another Wednesday, another podcast. You know, I had a 2-hour delay for work today. Didn't have to come in till 9. Feeling good. Feeling good, man. Great.
Nothing.
Well, aside from this Copa Italia, but
you know, it can't all be perfect.
yeah, exactly.
Exactly how you want it to be, but that is life, as they say.
Of a Milan fan, this was, just constant disappointment and dread.
Well, at least it's a constant, so you always know what to expect. You can't get upset about it. It really kind of a cup-centric show tonight because we only had SerieA action over the weekend as far as the league went, but we did have Copa Italia during the midweek now. It was the FA Cup weekend in England, and we had the Carabao Cup or League Cup semifinals, the first legs played already. So we'll start in England. The big tie over the weekend was Liverpool against Arsenal on Sunday. You know, we just saw these two teams play just a few weeks ago, right before Christmas, to a 1-1 draw at Anfield. And we got this game with a Liverpool team without Mo Salah, and they play again, by the way, in early February. And for a little bit, it seemed like this game might go to replay, which meant that they would have played like 4 times in the span of 5 weeks. Thankfully, we kind of avoided that because I think that sounds better than it is on paper sometimes. Entertaining game though. I think Arsenal, some of the biggest problems that they've had over the last few weeks has been their finishing. I think they've had almost 7 expected goals over their last 6 games and only have 1. So that I think is frustrating for them, and it kind of adds to the discussion about them needing that additional attacker, that additional winger, someone to be that clinical edge for them, because they're clearly lacking that. Kai Havertz had a lot of chances in that game that he just couldn't convert. And I think the frustrating thing coming out of this, though, for Liverpool is Trent Alexander-Arnold picks up an injury in this game, hyperextends his knee. He's out for 3 weeks. So they're going to have, it's not a super hard part of the schedule, but the fact they don't have him and Salah for almost a month, they're 2 most creative players, the 2 players that can, find a goal for you or set someone else up, are now out. So that is a challenge that they're going to have to face, but big win, and they move on to the FA Cup 4th round, and they're going to get actually a relatively easy tie. They'll either get Norwich or Bristol City, who still have to finish their replay.
No, I haven't really been watching the FA Cup that much, but this just continues to show Arsenal's, bad form. I don't want to say decline, right? But a lot of people are asking questions out of Arteta and the squad right now. They've been dropping some points in the league. They've had inconsistent form. I've been seeing some players being questioned about their quality. While Liverpool just, continues their good form. I mean, they're top of the Premier League as well. They're getting wins in the EFL Cup. They're getting wins in the FA Cup. They're top of the league. They have a 3-point lead on Aston Villa. They're kind of pulling away from everybody else.
Don't say that. Don't say that they're pulling away from. Don't do this to me.
Right, I'm singing praises for Liverpool. What's going on right now, right? And Arsenal tied with City on points, but Spurs is right behind them by 1 point, and if they continue this bad form, they could find themselves even behind West Ham and out of European competition soon.
Don't do this to me. I don't think Arsenal will fall like that. I think they'll probably get to a. I think some of the goals will start progressing a little bit here, and they'll start scoring. I think it's been a frustrating few weeks, but I don't think this is who Arsenal actually are, and I think they'll find their form again soon. I would say, but it's a really bad.
They lost to Fulham, who lost to Bournemouth. So by transitive property, you can do the math.
Yeah, I know you can. So that's good. In the fourth round, we're just looking ahead to some of the matchups. We do have another Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur matchup. Spurs have some kind of weird demon magic over Manchester City where it doesn't matter the form for either team. They will get outshot 27-2 and win the game 2-1. That's just been the way that it is gone for Spurs over the last few years against Manchester City. Obviously, they won't have Son for that game. He's still going to be at the Asian Games or the Asian Cup. And so that's, I think, maybe a little bit of weakness. But
I thought South Korea got eliminated.
I don't think that's even started yet. I don't think they're eliminated. They're definitely.
I don't know. Maybe what I read was a troll of something. I read something about Son getting eliminated from.
I think it's maybe people hoping that that he gets eliminated, but yeah, I think we're still. Yeah, it hasn't even started yet.
Okay.
The first game is Qatar and Lebanon on January 12th. I actually don't know who South Korea's group even is. They have Malaysia, Jordan, and Bahrain. So I think it's fair to say that South Korea should be progressing out of there. Not with. Let's be real. They should.
Come on now.
With ease. I was gonna say with ease.
Come on now.
Maybe not with ease. I was actually that they should.
Come on.
In that group. They should be winning that group. Absolutely. They should be walking.
Listen, no disrespect, but if the opening game is, what is that? You said Qatar and Lebanon. Jeez, great game right there.
Okay, well, there's no need to be a hater. All right.
Hey, look, Qatar actually had some promising games in the World Cup. They played decent, right?
They're not going to cut you a check, brother.
Please.
Cut you a check.
Please.
Spurs will have, though,
a check?
Timo Werner, which is...
Huh?
Spurs
this is news to me.
Spurs signed Timo Werner.
You guys are getting my live reaction.
He loved London so much that he's making a return.
Did he really? They didn't give him enough abuse already?
He won a Champions League. He's a Champions League winner, so he's got that going for him.
I forgot. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, a lot of people did. It was one of the most forgettable Champions League finals ever, I think. But he, it's weird because before his move to Chelsea, he was a highly rated striker. And it obviously did not work at Chelsea. He seemed like he was really devoid of confidence. He's rebuilt some of that at Leipzig, but he still had some of his injury problems too. I'm gonna be fascinated to see him work with his team and see how he plays. And I just think the story is written here for him to have a hat trick against Manchester City in the FA Cup. I think that's clearly the direction that we're hurtling towards there.
It'd be interesting to see does he still take a seat behind Son? Because we were seeing Tottenham had some really good form because James Maddison was the guy that could be creative and was the one in the center doing a lot. And then, Son's the guy getting in behind, making him primary goal scorer. Does Werner kind of take that away, or does he kind of take a back seat and play as a secondary kind of goal scorer role? He's the striker, so he kind of needs to be the main guy scoring goals, but is it more like the fox in the box type deal where Maddison can kind of play him through and Werner uses his speed to get chances? I'm not quite sure what I see here.
It could be a rotation between Kulusevski and him, and they really have been, I think, looking for a striker outside of Son, a forward outside of Son, because Richarlison has not really been that guy, and he's obviously too. He's going to be coming off of surgery. And there's no guarantee he's going to be right back to full fitness. This is a team that struggled for injuries. They need bodies, and especially over the next few weeks without Son. Son could be out, at the games until mid-February. I think it's kind of the same timeline as AFCON, and I know that's the same for Salah. Salah could not be back at Liverpool till the middle of February. That's a long time. That's still over a month away. So you kind of do have to have some contingency. So yeah, I wonder if he's just sort of seen as a rotational spot. Kulusevski's been kind of hit or miss this season. And I wonder if maybe this is just about getting competition there. Who knows? Want to give a shout out to Maidstone United, the lowest team in the English flight still remaining. I always love this stuff on the FA Cup. You sent me a tweet of all the characters over the years from from the FA Cup. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that one. It's fantastic. We didn't get any big cup sets over the weekend, which is kind of a bummer. Usually there's like one, or there's like a scare, and there really wasn't anything there. It seemed like for maybe a hot minute Brighton might lose to Stoke, but even that is like it's not a huge upset. Newcastle like dispatched Sunderland with a lot of ease, honestly. There wasn't as much there, I think, for the neutral. Hollywood FC, aka Wrexham, is moving on to the fourth round. So
I was just gonna say them versus Blackburn. That's an interesting little game right there, right?
Blackburn is like, honestly too, like, for us growing up, they were a really established team. Obviously, too.
Are they having a resurgence? They have a European Cup in their trophy cabinet.
Well, they had Brereton Diaz, but he moved on. I think he was like a really good goal scorer in the championship, and it seemed like he was kind of a potential ticket for them. They were flirting with promotion over the last few years. I don't know that they're going to be making any kind of like run this year for promotion. I haven't kept as much up. They're kind of languishing near like the bottom third of the championship this year. Last few years though, they had been close, but yeah, that's an interesting matchup. I think for a lot of people, for whatever reason, have attached themselves to Wrexham. Netflix does wonders for people. It got people into like F1. It gets them into Wrexham in the middle of nowhere in England.
Upset watch: Blackpool versus Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, they get a replay though, and I mean, it's a Premier League team losing to, I think, Blackpool are in League One, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely like some part of that is
like
the biggest upset, but the biggest it's a replay, game. So they might still beat them.
The biggest game that I can see that could potentially be like a upset watch is like on the 27th, United play the winner of Newport County and Eastleigh.
United they took care of Wigan in a pretty uneventful game, and I was really upset about that because so we're still gonna do it, but I had a little segment in mind for when we get to Italy. But yeah, I would have liked if we kind of, because it feels like you flip a coin as like, are United in crisis or not, and you can kind of just go from there content wise. But we'll talk about the league.
One day yes, one day no.
Pretty much, it's a magic 8 ball of horrors.
They win a game, they are the greatest team in the world. Then they lose a game, and you need to fire everybody. Oh, I know that way too well. I know that all too well.
That's just about right. The League Cup, Liverpool beat Fulham 2-1 today. Obviously without Solana, also without Alexander-Arnold, like we had mentioned, and take a step towards another final. Middlesbrough beat Chelsea 1-0. It's just a really frustrating result for Chelsea because they did have a lot of chances in this. Cole Palmer especially had opportunities to score here and just didn't. I was doing some reading about Middlesbrough as well, and I forgot these two teams actually played in the FA Cup semifinal of 2022. And what was interesting about that is there are only 2 players in the entire Chelsea squad that were a part of that team.
That's crazy.
That is an insane turnover in numbers. I mean, it's not uncommon, a year and a half later to maybe have 4 or 5 guys like leave, right? And maybe like 3 or 4 new faces. Like you can have some turnover in a year and a half. It's not, especially depending on like what stage you're in, especially a team like Chelsea is trying to kind of rebuild. But I did find that insane. But I also found this awesome story about one of the Middlesbrough players, Matt Crooks, who has epilepsy, and his parents are both deaf. And he was talking about, just like kind of what it's like to be a professional athlete and having epilepsy and all the work that he's had to do, but that he's become like an advocate for other players that have reached out to him that have also had that diagnosis, and he's like been a counselor to them. And he also, tragically too, though, had a friend, Jordan Synod, who was a player that was killed in like just seemed like an awful like night out thing where like he got like someone like he's essentially got assaulted outside of a bar or a pub, and was killed. But he started this foundation in his name. He's been very active in that and raising a ton of money. So there's tons to root for. You know, it's either like, are you going to root for Chelsea or are you going to root for Middlesbrough with Matt Crooks, this like this wonderful human being who's doing all this great stuff.
I think I know where I'm going. Yeah,
as this wonderful story, and they were talking too about having a little bit of unfinished business. And this Middlesbrough team, I'd forgotten this too. They had also gone to Manchester United in that FA Cup run a few years ago, and had beaten them at Old Trafford. And as I was reading the articles, I remember that game, and he had scored one of the goals in that game. So, really cool story there. I just wanted to give a shout out because they beat Chelsea 1-0, and there's just one more game, and they might find themselves in a cup final. And a cup final, I mean, there's no guarantee that it's even going to be Liverpool. They could be facing Fulham, and I think both those teams would be really liking their odds of getting a trophy. And listen, I have said a million times, a trophy is a trophy. You celebrate it. It's why you play the sport, is to win. 99.9% of players, of coaches, of fans will never see their team or be a part of a team that wins a trophy. Any trophy is meaningful. So I love to see stuff like this, teams that are a little bit lower in the pecking order with an opportunity to make a final, have a big day out. It's a lot of fun. That being said, it's totally possible that we have another Liverpool-Chelsea domestic cup final, and it's 0-0, and we have to watch another 13 to 14 penalties.
No, I don't think that'll happen this time. I mean, there's a major gap in quality between these two teams now. But I know, it's any given day, like anything can happen.
We drew them 1-1 already this season. We don't beat them in regular time. It is just a draw now. I don't know how to tell you that.
Nah, I don't know.
That's if both of those teams make it. There's still plenty to be decided. Fulham could definitely still beat Liverpool. They can make up that deficit, and we'll see if Middlesbrough hang on there. We'll switch to Italy, where we gotta have a talk about Napoli, Dom, because they lose again, 3-0 to Torino. This is, I think, one of the harder hit teams, especially when you think of quality of players that have gone to AFCON for Napoli. So that's a frustrating component as well. They've won 1 out of their last 5. Osimhen openly feuding with Khvicha Kvaratskhelia agents, who accused, or I guess implied, that Osimhen would go to Saudi Arabia this summer. And he said, "You're a dumb fucking idiot."
Yo, yeah. The language,
he told him to mind his business.
The language used in Osimhen's story was incredible. I mean, this is stuff you'd see in a peak banter era. This is not something you see the season after you win a trophy.
For your consideration, I think that we can call this the banter era for Napoli. I think they've immediately, it's the fastest transition.
Yeah. I read something, somebody said that, is this the worst title defense we've seen for any team ever, in Italy? We talk about the fall off, like Milan fell off after winning, last season. And I think they still finished 3rd. So
yeah, Milan had an okay season. They made the semifinals of the Champions League.
People were still questioning them, being like, "Oh, what a Wara title offense," or title defense. And now you look at this one, Napoli is crashing and burning quick. Dropping a 3-0 score to Torino. Yikes!
Okay, so vibes are bad. All right.
Yeah, the vibes are real bad.
You've got an owner who's not the easiest to work with. He's not known for being the best person to kind of have a business relationship with. The players seem kind of in and out. Some of them are openly talking about where they're leaving. Might I suggest the ultimate vibe improver, Antonio Conte, comes in because that is apparently the way that they're really trying to pivot now. They tried getting Antonio Conte before Walter Mazzarri. I don't know how Antonio Conte has become the answer for this team, if he even ends up taking the job, because it seems like they are stepping up some pursuit of him. I got to tell you, Antonio Conte is not the answer here. Listen, I like him. I will say his last few stops not been the best vibes wise. I think he's a little bit erratic. Him and De Laurentiis in a room together has to be.
They're not going to see eye to eye, man. Come on now.
stereotypical Zeos you've ever heard, and you're like, it's unbelievable. Like these guys, it's crazy. They're the most stereotypical Italian guys I think you can get without like either one of them being like balding and overweight with a gold chain. Like that's the only other way that you get the more stereotypical Italian guy. Like it's just.
Did you ever see the? I don't know if I shared it with you around the holidays. It was like every holiday in my Italian household. It was like
Yes.
POV. And then they're all like sitting around the table, just all constantly talking. And then there's a certain time in the day, it's just clinking of like espressos. That's what I see. Like they're both sitting down, they're angrily stirring their espresso, staring at each other, just like ding, 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 ding.
Que cosa? Okay, so for your consideration, Dom, new segment. Who's got the worst?
God.
Who's got the worst vibes?
Who's got the worst vibes?
Vibe check.
Okay.
Manchester United or Napoli? Who has the worst vibes right now?
Wow, that's a tough one actually. You can't even like go by the fans because the Napoli fans are very, very like passionate and very, very vehemently angry with their club right now. I don't know, man. I'm still gonna say United. I don't know. I still want to say Manchester United.
I will say Napoli can at least comfort themselves with that they won a Scudetto last year. It's not like they came agonizingly close and they have nothing to show for it. Like they at least have that, and they have talent.
I think this is what makes the vibes at United worse. Everything you just said, and the fact that they do have some excuses, right? Like, we signed Kim Min-jae, who was this secret like talent that would have been great for us, and he was, and then Bayern comes in and swoops him away from us. Kalidou Koulibaly, he left. He's not here anymore. And they could talk about some of that kind of stuff, even for this one game. Zambo Anguissa and Osimhen had red cards. We have some other players that are hurt. They can't really play for us. Meret is hurt, this and that. And Zielinski's coming off injuries, not the same. I think that Napoli has more excuses that they can make. Manchester United is just like, what the hell are you doing, guys? It's been like this for way too long. What's going on? Like, there's a certain standard that Manchester United is like, or that we're used to. I don't even know if we could say we're used to anymore.
I love that you said that.
You know what I mean?
We have a tendency, because so many people, like for everyone involved in the sport, has a memory of Manchester United being good. That is phasing out. It's been 10 years since they were like a Premier League title challenging team. It's been over 10 years actually since they last won this fight. But they entered at least the 13-14 season with like the idea, it was going to be obviously a new manager and a new chapter, but that they were still a top team. It's a whole generation now. Yeah.
There's kids growing up now who see teams like Manchester United and AC Milan and kind of laugh. They're like, this fucking team.
I would say Milan. Milan won a title 2 years ago. They were in the Champions League semifinals last year. Come on.
Yeah, but
Manchester United have not had.
But this is a one-off thing. Like, this is recent success. I'm talking over the last 10, 12, 15 years. 15 years if you're going back now, you're pushing it. But 10 years?
I mean, Milan's problems are not the same as Manchester United. Manchester United has just been just mismanaged in a different way. There's been two forms of mismanagement. I think for the Napoli comparison, Napoli still have a talented starting 11. They just had a disagreement. De Laurentiis had a disagreement with Spalletti, and I think that was the true failure in all of this. Because I think if Spalletti's the manager, they're not. I don't know that they're on a historic winning pace, but I think they're a much better team this season. I think he was clearly he had a good sense for that team. Manchester United, I don't know what the answer is anymore, because they've had multiple different managers. They've made the big money signings. They've brought in big players. They've tried to get young talent. Everything they do just seems to be bad, and I think it's because just that club itself has bad ownership at the top, and I think it's just bad decision makers, and they don't have the right priorities. I think is really the issue there, and so I think it's a worse situation because I don't know how that fixes, and they're so far behind everyone else. They're far behind Manchester City, especially, within their own city. So I would say the vibes are probably worse in United because there's an expectation, too, I think, that United would be good this year. So I think everyone kind of expected Napoli to take a step back. I certainly felt that way, that they probably weren't going to be – I still thought Napoli could win the title coming into the year. I felt that was totally possible. I was wrong about that. But United, I think we kind of expected to have a better season that they're having, that they would take a step forward, and they just have not.
Yeah, that's true. This is it's like how can Napoli take a step forward? It's like, okay, now they have to be competitive in Europe while still holding on to their league position, and they're obviously not. But like, this is what we're used to seeing from United, and I think we both had them in our top 4 in the preseason guessing, right? Or maybe I did. I know at least I did.
I had Manchester United in my top 4. I had them above Liverpool. Yeah. I had Manchester United 3, Liverpool 4.
Yeah, like we had high expectations for the team coming into this year, and it's just, I don't know, man. And I mean, on top of that, it looks like they're deciding on who they want to go with at the right wing. I mean, we've kind of talked about it, and it's kind of been chosen for a while. But like, Sancho's on his way out, and it seems like they're just going with Anthony, Mr. Beyblade himself. Like,
don't disrespect Beyblades like that ever again in your life. Beyblades get way more action. They make way more contact. I'll tell you that much.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, Manchester United is making it very clear who they're going with on the right side, and it's like they I don't know, man. It's like they're doubling down because they paid the money for him, and like they've just treated Sancho horribly, just completely killed his confidence in his career.
Well, he's supposed to be going back to Dortmund.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a disagreement right now, though, about, we'll probably do a little transfer roundup next week because we'll have more news and there'll be more to talk about. But it seems like there's like a disagreement about Sancho and like some kind of payment in his wages. And there's a little bit of hold up. That deal's going to get done, though. Like, he's going to be in Dortmund. Like, United, it's untenable. There's no way that he doesn't end up there, in my view. Yeah. Like, I just think it'd be very unlikely.
I just don't get the vibes here at Manchester United, man. I don't get it.
They're bad. They're bad. It's a bad situation. It's a bad situation. Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about some of the SerieA action over the weekend. Inter win against Verona. A wild last 20 minutes in this game, honestly. Not without some controversy, of course. Inter's ultimately game-winning goal from Frattesi probably shouldn't have stood. Bastoni has an elbow in the box in kind of the build-up.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah. And, also almost scores one of the goals of the season, just catches a volley out of the air and just lashes it against the crossbar. Then there's a shot, and Frattesi, puts the rebound in. But, I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not sure what happened with the VAR review. I don't know. I was kind of at a loss there. All that said, what has been lost in this is everyone's been talking about that moment, and it is a pivotal moment, of course, because that is ultimately what wins them the game. They still could have drawn because Henry has an opportunity. Verona get a penalty. VAR sort of intervenes and brings it all the way back, and they get a penalty and puts it off the post, sends the keeper the wrong way, and then the rebound chance, the header just goes beggingly wide. Inter could, I think Inter could really feel it in this game. You could tell by the celebrations after Frattesi's goal, and you could tell by the celebrations after Henry's miss. Like, they feel it. They feel that they're in a race, and they feel the pressure of Juventus. And there's been some back and forth in the press too. With Allegri kind of taking his he's this way of I've heard people refer to it. I don't know as much about Italian culture to speak on this myself, but there's this Tuscan sarcasm, and that he kind of baits people into reactions. And he got a Cherby to bite on one. And there's been this kind of back and forth between the two, and they're already two of Italy's most successful clubs, so there's always that kind of rivalry there. But yeah, I think they can feel. You could tell by their reactions and their celebrations. This was very meaningful. I mean, this is Verona. They're a bad team. It's not like this is a big rival either. Like, so you can tell that this game meant a lot, and that we really might be in for a great title race here.
Well, this is the stressors of being the team at the top and trying to hold that lead, especially from drawing Genoa in the round before, right? You don't want to drop points to another team that you should beat, right? So it's obviously going to bother the players a little bit when the margins are so tight with Juventus, nipping at their heels. Like, you cannot afford to mess anything up. They've got Monza next, which is another team that is honestly, one that can get a win versus a good side. I mean, they drew Napoli already. You never know. So the Inter just has to keep playing good football if they want to keep this lead. It's only a 2-point lead, so if they lose a game and Juventus wins, boom, they're in second. And then it's really hard to get that lead back. You always mention Real Madrid with the Champions League, how they're just like a zombie, and somehow they always just seem to be in the fray at the end. That's the Scudetto race with Juventus most years. I mean, these are the guys that are always kind of just in and around the conversation. They were supposed to be around it last year if they didn't have the points deductions, so like, it's not like they've been gone, right? Obviously, they're not the team that dominated the 2010s, but it's still, a team that you really do have to, kind of watch yourself and make sure that you're performing well, because like you said, Allegri will make these comments and really piss you off all of a sudden. And as soon as you mess up, then there's the Italian media and Twitter just going off on you, right? Oh, I can't believe you did this. Like for every comment that can trigger an Inter player or coach, 70% of the fan base is already triggered. So now they're going to hold the players accountable, and they're going to hold the coach accountable. And as soon as something negative goes wrong, there's going to be somebody scapegoated every single loss. That's just the name of the game.
I will say we'll be saying this for the rest of the year. Surely Juventus can't win another game by a 1-goal margin. Surely they're not.
Please stop saying that.
But they literally just keep doing it. They just keep doing it. I don't.
Stop it. Stop it. You told me to stop talking praises about Liverpool because you know what's going to happen. Let's just stop saying that sarcastically about Juventus, because it will keep happening.
Can't win every game for the rest of the season.
Stop it. They will.
1-0 or 2-1. Surely they won't. Let's talk about Copa Italia, Dom.
No,
we'll keep it light. We'll just talk about. We'll wrap it up briefly. Lazio outlast Roma in the quarterfinal. Another one of these Rome derbies that has just not lived up. There was a bunch of red cards in this because you have kind of a, not quite a fight at the end, but you have tensions kind of boil over. The quality, I should say, was not very good. It did deliver on some emotional stuff and some intrigue there, but not a totally entertaining game by any standard. Maurizio Sarri, by the way, in 6 Rome derbies now, 4 wins. And 1 draw. He's only lost 1. So
well done. Really that's how you keep the fans on your side.
Honestly, that's a really good record. And Roma during that time have been a pretty good team. I'd say they're on similar level too. It's not like one has been vastly superior. So good results there. Elsewhere, Fiorentina set up a date with Atalanta in the semis. PK penalty win. I don't know if you saw Yeri.
Penalty for Jimenez was not a penalty.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It was not a penalty, and there was a handball off the corner kick at the end of the game. And
they left you off the ballot in Nevada, right? That was the other.
If anything, VAR should have told them it was a corner. Can't believe the ref was that blind that he didn't even see the deflection. That's crazy. Just ended the game after the VAR check. That's crazy. That's actually really crazy. All the ballots were stuffed. There was extra ballots. We got to do hand-in ballots.
If
now.
Mike Pence will do the right thing, Milan will be in the semifinals. Actually,
I demand an investigation and a recount.
If Mike Pence does the right thing, there's still an opportunity. They can still do something here.
I need financial checks for all the referees in the league. Now.
Oh man. Well, next week you have Super Copa, which is going to be in Saudi Arabia, which fucking sucks, by the way.
Sick. Awesome.
I don't know if you saw it today, because Spain's doing the same thing for their Super Cup, and Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid played a game which I didn't get to watch because Liverpool were on at the same time, and so was Milan and Atalanta, but ended up 5-3. I did see before the game, Franz Beckenbauer sadly passed, one of like the legends of the game overall, and I think probably the greatest German footballer ever. Like, just a spectacular player, reinvented the kind of center back, but especially like sweeper position. Very, very impressive player. They had a moment of silence for him before the game, and the entire crowd was just like booing and whistling and weird. And Tony Cruz after the game, I want to get it exactly right. I don't want to misquote
Huh?
the great Tony Cruz. He said that was on Twitter. He said that was fun today. Amazing crowd, heart eyes emoji. So Tony Cruz, I don't think was as impressed with the Saudi Arabian crowd. And by the way, it's hilarious because a lot of the players that went to Saudi Arabia are apparently trying to work their way back. Jordan Henderson, especially, is trying to weasel his way back to England
Wow,
somehow.
who could have saw this coming?
Well, I think I think someone might have told him, like, hey, we can't keep picking you for the England national team if you're going to be playing there still, and you're going to play
the same thing
you have to do one or the other.
The same thing that happened to Beckham when he moved to LA Galaxy, and they were like, "Hey, if you want to play in this World Cup, you gotta go play in Europe."
I think
you just leave his family.
I think he was done.
No,
anyway.
That's why he went to Milan in the first place. His family just moved and got settled. His kids got in school, and then he goes, "Let me go to Italy real quick. I want to play in the next World Cup."
Poor old Becks. Won't someone just please think of David Beckham and how just slighted he's been in life? He's just been dealt such a hard hand. It's honestly.
Listen, I'm sorry I brought it up. I watched the documentary.
I still have not.
Week.
I still have not watched.
Monica and I sat down and watched it over like I think 2 days, 3 days, because each episode's like an hour and a half long or something like that, or an hour long. Like, they were long episodes, but it was good. It's definitely worth a watch. I
Monica,
definitely
Spice Girls fan.
Here and there, she knows the major hits.
Yeah, fair enough.
It was really cool to see, just because like what you said, like, you can really see like he was just not given a good hand ever, like the amount of abuse he lived with, and we're talking about a time before big internet and social media, like, you're just seeing shit in the tabloids and in the newspapers and stuff, and like hearing what the fans have to say on you and TV and all that shit, and like, no other way to kind of like communicate to anybody. Like, that's tough as a player. You gotta, and it made me think about like what players deal with nowadays, when people from behind their keyboard or phone screen can instantly, get in communication with these players, whether it's their personal page or run by a manager, and like can see all this shit that people are saying about them. It's really crazy nowadays. You have to be really, really mentally tough as a player to play at a high level professionally and be that guy for your team, because you even hear how we talk about some guys on this show. It's like, I don't think we're that bad.
I always try and be respectful of their humanity, except for
except if they play for Manchester United.
Except for that bastard Sergio Ramos, I will not ever bow down to him. All right, Dom. Last week, you threw this exercise at me.
Are you doing this to me now?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All
this
right.
time, though, beforehand, the rules.
Oh my God!
Which are that when you rank someone, they're locked into that rank. So Dom,
I understand.
I did a random generator, and I picked out on each one a guy that I liked that I thought would be fun.
Okay.
For you.
Okay.
So you have it's a top 5 list. These are all forwards. I'll give you that. So they're all going to be forwards. They're all going to be forwards or strikers. And you will be ranking these top 5. I'm going to start you off with Marko Arnautovic.
Oh God. Cult hero kind of guy. Has always had, like, he's played for some really big teams, and like he's always kind of been like a baller, but never really cracked into that next level of like, I'm the guy kind of deal. I'm gonna put him fourth.
Fourth. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh God. Who else do you have on this list?
Ooh, I got to figure out what order I'm going to give these to you now.
Yeah,
Kevin Morales.
Oh God. Jesus. All right. Maybe Arnautovic should have been like second on this list, but I don't like Morales is one of those guys. He's played in both the leagues that I watch, right? And like I still don't have memories in him other than me using him in FIFA when he played like, for Everton. And he was like an easy starter team player that you could get on the cheap, and he had good stats. So I'm gonna put him fifth. All right.
Boy, you're gonna put him fifth. Huh?
Oh God, here we go.
All right. Your boy, your love. Devoted to this man, Patrick Cutrone.
Second, easily. No. Yeah, second. Just fuck it. Put him second.
Okay, podcast favorite. One of our guys, Adamala Lookman.
Ooh. For the content, I'm gonna put him third.
Okay, well, Dom.
Who's my top of the list?
Would you like to meet your new number one?
Yeah, here's my squad depth, right?
I don't know exactly how tall he is, but let's just say 5'10", hailing from Finland. It is Teemu Pukki as your number one.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. If this can be like what the 2021, 22, or is it 2020, 2021, where he was like kind of balling in the beginning of the season?
In the Premier League season, that was 1920.
It was 1920.
Really hot start.
Yeah, let me get that Teemu Pukki, not the MLS guy. Nah, I don't need all that now. But, all right, I guess. Yeah, we'll put him top of the list. And
so you had
Pukki
number one, Cutrone
should have put Cutrone second.
Lookman at 3, Arnautovic at 4, and Morales at 5.
Yeah. So if this is can I give my readjusted?
Give me your
ratings?
Real ranking. You can give me your real ranking.
If I'm doing a real ranking, Arnautovic, Lookman, Cutrone, Pukki, Morales.
Wow, you would have Cutrone above Pukki?
It's very special.
He's great in the championship.
Very special place in my heart.
I mean, fair enough. You got a lot of bias. Sorry, that's fine.
I mean, he was able to keep a starting spot for at least a little bit, both in the Premier League and at Valencia when he played. So, I mean, now he's back in like Serie B or I think, right, or Serie C, kind of scoring for Pisa. He's kind of been having a resurgence of his career. So, I mean, third is kind of like I don't think it's like that out of pocket for saying. Like, what has Pukki done since that 1920 season?
He was so good in the championship, and he's been like decent in the MLS. I don't know. Be a little bit of a hater.
No,
I think he set the record for goals in the championship.
I love Vikings, but no.
All right, fair enough. Listen, that's your life. I'm not gonna judge you for it.
It's my life now. I don't want to get us a copyright.
Yeah, dude, so. Jesus Christ! This is your first day on content creation.
No, I just know that there's certain words you can't say. The algorithm on YouTube just does not like it.
Yeah, they don't like when you say algorithm either. They funnily enough. Let's look ahead to the action. We got the other Copa Italia quarterfinal. I don't know why they kept doing this with the Juventus fixtures. They're always on the day after everyone else's. I don't know what the point is, but they play Frosinone. Look forward to seeing our semifinal matchups. Let's be realistic. It's most certainly going to be Juventus into the semifinal. Looking ahead, though, we have the Premier League back in some ways this weekend. This is like the time of year where there's like games every day, and they're kind of like weirdly staggered. Do have United and Spurs this weekend, and Newcastle, Manchester City as well. Some pretty big matchups there. In Italy, you've got Milan versus Roma. Big matchup, two teams that really, honestly, Milan looking just to continue what has been like pretty good form for them. Roma need a win, I would say. And you've got Napoli and Salernitana there as well. A little bit of a local rivalry. That's a lot to look forward to. And yeah, that's what we got on that front. And then next week, I want to say the FA Cup is back, all the replays in the middle of the week, so we have that to look forward to. But some big games over the weekend, I'll say, and it's going to be an exciting one.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Mainly, I'm gonna be focused on making sure that watching Milan kind of get back on their winning ways. Hopefully, I mean they've had some positive things come out of the club recently with Pioli finally using some of the youth, in the squad rotation and some players, getting some really good looks like Jimenez, although he gave up that penalty today, and guys like Simic and Shaka Traore had back-to-back games. One was in the league, one was in the cup, where he scored goals, and you're seeing some of these other guys get some chances now with the club, which is nice. Yassine Adli is actually getting some playing time now and looking good, like to the point where like Krunic is basically phased out of the club. They're looking to sell him, and now they're getting him for a fraction of what they could have sold him for last year. But it is what it is. So just as long as they can get on their winning ways, I'll be happy next week when we record.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll talk to you next week and wrap that all up for you. Until then, enjoy the games, enjoy the weather, enjoy the cold, and we'll see you next time. See you.